Welcome everybody to your Wednesday edition of Hot News. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming back. It's good to see your smiling faces here. Just want to give a little quick plug for our website, ufd.deals, where we bring you all of the hot deals from around the internet on tech-related items. So if you'd be so kind, check it out at the link in the video description for anything that you might be buying around the internet. See if it's on sale and we compile it there. We get a little kickback. Helps support the show, keeps everything going. Thanks so much, guys. And now let's just jump into the news. Are you still running only hard drives in your PC? Well, it appears that you might be the last dying breed of a crying out generation that needs more speed, because it looks like Western Digital is shutting down one of its hard drive factories, citing a low demand because of the increase in things like SSDs and 3D NAND flash and all of that kind of stuff that is usurping their position in the market. They are replacing it with an SSD factory, so it's not all bad news for Western Digital, but it appears that the spinning mechanical disk might just go the way of the dodo, especially in just regular consumer instances, because SSDs are just a lot faster. Click this poll to let me know if you're on SSDs, hard drives, or a mixture of the two. I would love to hear what you guys are rocking in your system. It appears that game maker Ubisoft had a monster second quarter of 2018, reporting up to $461 million in sales on all of their collective games everywhere, with North America making up about 45% of those total sales, Europe coming in at 35%. PS4, surprisingly enough, makes up 38% of their total sales, followed by a second place of the PC, 24%. It just looks like PC people aren't willing to buy video games to the same extent that console peasants are, because Xbox One is also 22%, so the PC is not much further ahead than the Xbox, and it seems like, you know, PlayStation's got the wraps on that. I'm curious, for those of you who actually have a console and a PC, if you have one of those games that will launch on multiple platforms, which one do you typically choose to play it on? Is it dependent on the genre and the type of game? Do you prefer like FPSs on a keyboard and mouse, or do you just like more casual gaming experiences on your console? I'd love to hear what you guys think of that down in the comments. And in case you're a World of Warcraft player, Blizzard dropped some really great news about the game today when they're discussing the new Battle for Azeroth expansion, talking about how every expansion for WoW will be free up until Legion, and all you have to do is pay that $15 a month subscription fee. They're adding support for DirectX 12 as well as ultra-wide 21:9 support. So it seems like Blizzard was on the hype train for World of Warcraft today. They're making huge advancements. I personally had known that I should never touch that game because I will get way too addicted to it, so I stay far away. But for anybody who's actually interested, like I know Reece is nodding his head right now because he is so excited that everything up until Legion is free, and he might just end up not coming to work next week because he's just gonna stay home playing WoW. I'm sad at this news. This news saddens me. And in case you thought companies couldn't play nice together, it looks like Nvidia, AMD, Valve, who makes the Vive, Oculus, and Microsoft have all teamed up to come up with a new display standard for virtual reality headsets. This display standard is called VirtualLink, and it utilizes USB Type-C in order to deliver power, the display, and the data to get everything across for the VR headset. A lot of sources are saying that this could potentially mean that we might see USB Type-C outputs on graphics cards in the coming future, but I just want to harken back to Computex 2017, where at MSI's booth they had the Gaming X Type-C edition, which indeed had USB Type-C as a display output. So it's happened before. It looks like it's going to be standardized for VR, which is a great thing. Instead of having to use USB 3 and HDMI and all of these other things, you get one cable. It can deliver 27 watts of power, USB 3.1 Gen 2 super speed. Everything's going to be great there. I'm excited that they're actually going to create a standard in one single cable, because that means that you don't have to deal with the freaking, you know, predator dreads at the back of your head. Now it's time for today's segment of yes, please. In order to celebrate Jurassic Park's 25th anniversary, there is a giant Jeff Goldblum statue erected by the Tower Bridge in London. It features Dr. Ian Malcolm with that sexy pose that he has, where his shirt is just draping open. With it being 9.5 feet tall, it is an absolute gargantuan homage to one of the world's best actors. Thank you so much, whoever made this, whoever spent 250 hours designing this things. That just only ends the segment of yes, please. It appears that the EU hates Google because they're slapping them with another massive fine, bigger than the $2 billion fine that they received previously. This one is tallying up to $5 billion in antitrust fines. This is because Google bundles their search engine as well as Chrome on all installations of Android, which is something that the EU just says, no, you're not allowed to do. We've seen this before by the EU when they fined Microsoft for including Internet Explorer bundled with Windows. Windows. The European Commission says that they want Google to bring its illegal contact to an end in an effective manner within 90 days of the decision, which means that Google will have to stop including Chrome and all of its Google search stuff on its application, which, like, I'm not sure of what the antitrust laws in the EU mean, so I'm not gonna comment on that. I could probably be more informed there. But from my perspective as a consumer, it just makes complete sense that Android would have all of their services bundled in, because it's not like they don't allow you to install all of these other things. Of course, the Google Play Store is where you get things to install things, and that's like everything is tied in. It's its own software, so why wouldn't it be included on its own hardware? That's something that I think is okay and not really a problem, so I don't see why the EU really has to find them here. Maybe there's something that I'm missing with this story that you guys think could give me a better understanding of why this is an antitrust violation. I'd love to hear that down in the comments. I'm gonna plead ignorance on this one because I think that this is just malarkey, personally. It appears that Microsoft and Walmart are teaming up to take on Amazon, of all things, because that's the news story that I wanted to report on today. Microsoft, with all of its cloud computing, with the Azure setup that they have, is trying to team up with Walmart and all of the customer information that they have to take on the gargantuan Amazon, which has both the retail aspect of what Walmart does and also the cloud services aspect of what Microsoft does. It's not yet announced of how specifically this partnership will play out. It appears that they've signed a 5-year tech agreement so that they can share all of this stuff together and figure out how they're going to move forward. It could just be that Walmart might just use, Azure for hosting all of their websites, but it seems like this will go further than that, because Microsoft has been no stranger for announcing that they are trying to actually take on Amazon as a direct competitor and usurp them from their position. And hopefully Jeff Bezos isn't holding on too tight to his position of the world's richest man, because Microsoft's coming for you, okay? Bill Gates got jealous. There appears to be some good news in the fight for net neutrality in the US. It appears that some members of Congress are trying to push through a bill that would make net neutrality a law instead of a set of guidelines that could be manipulated by the FCC and changed as it has been. The so-called 21st Century Internet Act would ban blocking, throttling, paid prioritization, and eliminates all questions of jurisdiction with regards to the internet. And in case you think that so far the net neutrality thing hasn't had an effect on consumers, it's already been shown that Xfinity Mobile has been throttling consumers down to 480p video, with the potential to go up to 720p if you pay them more, even though you're already paying for the bandwidth in the data. So we've reported on that in a previous hot news. It's clear that ISPs, even though they promised that they weren't going to throttle or do anything like that, they've had a history of doing it, and they've clearly already started to do it now that net neutrality has been repealed. Again, this brings up the conversation of the government getting involved in consumer matters and private matters, but I want to know what you all think about whether or not you think that there should be a law on the books that actually enforces net neutrality, rather than having all of these ISPs being able to control things, because most of the time it is a monopoly situation where there's only one or two ISPs who can provide you with internet, and then they just jack up the prices, they reduce the services, and there's nothing you can do. It's not a free market, which is normally what people would consider to be the best situation for trying to make sure that the government doesn't need to be involved, because a free market will play itself out. But because there's monopolies, it creates this weird issue of the government might have to step in order to enforce all of these policies that will make the internet better for people. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, because it's clear from my other video where we talked about politics a lot that you guys have very disparate opinions from what I do, so I'd love to hear what you guys think. It appears that Intel is not the only tech company that has had to kick its CEO out for violating code of conduct. Texas Instruments CEO Brian Kutcher had to resign today after less than 2 months on the job, citing violation of the code of conduct. The company stated that the violations are related to personal behavior that is not consistent with our ethics and core values, but not related to company strategy, operations, or financial reportings. Now, there's no specifications on exactly what the Texas Instruments CEO did to actually that wasn't in line with the code of conduct, but with the way things are phrased and the comparisons that are being made to Intel, it appears that it might have been some sexually inappropriate things that have happened behind the scenes. We'll have to see if there's any more information that comes out, because as of right now, this is a breaking story, so we don't have all of the details, but I wanted to inform you all that TI has a new CEO. It's the previous CEO who's going to be taking being on the roll on a permanent basis. There's a report out of video cards showing roadmaps from Intel indicating that Z390 chipset will be coming out in Q3 of this year. This is, of course, backing up the claims of the rumor that we saw yesterday that the new Coffee Lake refresh, or Whiskey Lake, whatever they're going to call it, chips will be launching potentially on August 1st. Having a new chipset to go alongside of that makes complete sense. There's not a whole lot to this information besides the fact that it's basically confirming that Intel will be releasing something sometime soon. If they're actually soldering it, I'm going to be very happy. If they're not soldering it, I'm just going to crap on it because it's going to be a Coffee Lake refresh and nobody really wanted that. Anyways, that's my personal thoughts. Let's move on to the next subject. Ooh, everybody must be upset with mining. Well, it appears that there's a report out of Digitime citing that crypto mining supply chains see dim growth prospects for the second half of 2018. This report brings basically nothing new to the table that hasn't already been discussed before, but is just citing companies' less than stellar confidence in that crypto stuff will pick up in the second half of this year. The price of Bitcoin is being cited as one of the major reasons that things will not pick up because it's just not high enough to make everything profitable. The only thing that could potentially help companies sell off excess stock and all of the things that they're holding on to to meet the numbers that they're looking to is that flood that happened in Sichuan a few weeks ago where it destroyed tens of thousands of mining systems, and this report is citing that most of these companies are basically hoping that that will help them clear out all of this excess inventory that they have while they wait for the new series of everything to come in, because then that would allow them to sell that without having to worry about other things being on their balance sheet. The report also says that GPU makers NVIDIA and AMD are expected to see their profitability fall on relatively higher GPU inventories, and China's three major suppliers of mining ASICs, Bitmain, Canaan, Creative, and eBank Communication, will see their revenue growth dragged down by the lackluster mining sector. Of course, things could change. The price of cryptos could go through the roof, and then they could enjoy another holiday at all expenses paid on the backs of everybody who's losing out on GPUs. But it appears that the second half of 2018 by the companies that actually sell mining equipment isn't looking to shape up to be something that they are looking forward to. So yay for gamers, I suppose. We should be able to get our GPUs in stock and at a decent price. Hopefully. Hopefully. This is just a news report. I'm not a future teller, okay? You know what? I'm not a future teller, but I am a present teller. And you know what I've been presently telling you guys? That the Core i9 by Intel is a bunch of malarkey. It's just i7 garbage that's not even very good, and it appears that the MacBook Pro, which utilizes the i9, actually basically just sucks. So this is coming out of a review by Dave 2D showing off the 2018 15-inch MacBook Pro with the i9 model and showing how it actually performs worse than last year's Core i7 model by quite a considerable amount when rendering in Premiere Pro. The reason for this is basically just that Apple doesn't know how to cool their laptops, and so the thing is thermal throttling, not allowing it to get the best performance out, and he demonstrates this by putting the laptop in a freezer, in which case it was actually able to beat last year's Core i7 by quite a considerable amount, by 8 minutes on the render, whereas when it was not in the freezer, it lost to last year's model by a total of 4 minutes. Of course, this says nothing on the Aero 15X, which rendered everything out in 7 minutes and 18 seconds in the first place, but that's neither here nor there, MacBooks being worse than anything else. But this is just confirmation that the Core i9 is just a bunch of malarkey. It's this Core i7 that can overclock that they want to sell based on the fact that it's the Core i9, but it's a giant piece of poop. And this is honestly more on Apple than it is on Intel, but I'm gonna crap on both of them here because I hate the new Core i9 mobile CPU, and then I hate the fact that Apple just doesn't know how to cool their MacBook Pros. Like, you have an entire chassis of aluminum, learn to how to effectively dissipate the heat, add fans all around, Apple. Come on, increase the thickness just a bit so that you can get better airflow. Like, just do something that makes sense. Go the Asus route where when you flip up the hinge, it opens up a flap that allows you to vent things out. Something, innovate there. Innovate, Apple, please. Your laptops are suffering because of this. Do something differently. Of course, nearly everybody who watches this video is gonna be like, of course, Macs suck. What else did you expect? I mean, we all expected this, so. And that's gonna wrap it up for hot news today. Let me know what you thought of anything that we discussed down in the comments down below, whether it be that MacBook Pro or anything else. I wanna hear your thoughts on it, so just chat away. Anyway, smash that like button if you enjoyed the video. Please get subscribed to stay up to date on all of our tech-related content. Your subscription means a whole heck of a lot to us. I'm Brett with the UFD Tech Channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see your smiling faces again in the next video. Cheers.